All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's session. And tonight we're going to go straight to our project phase, and it's going to be how we're going to be working with a particular set of data. I think we are getting advanced, and we're also making a whole lot of sense in our learning process. So I think I shared. I don't know if any of you have been able to download the file I sent earlier on. It's a text txt file. We're going to be using that in tonight's class. We're going to be playing around with that particular piece of data, and you've been able to read about the link I sent to you guys. I believe you can hear me loud and clear, and I'm very clear enough. Okay, thank you, Mr. Funso Adekunle. Please, if you have not done that, please try and download it right now. It's on the page, it's on the group chat. Please try and get it and let it get into your system because we'll be needing that as well. And before we start, I would like to, I think I told you there was this particular project I'm still working on, and I told you that the client is actually from the US, and what he's trying to do is for us to I told us the list of things to do, and so far the project has been going well. It has been going wonderfully well. So I'll be showing a little bit of the progress so far and what I've done with data cleaning a piece of information after converting the particular cell, a particular column from all the languages it was to English proper. So if it was in Portuguese, if it was in Italian, if it was in any of the languages, as far as I wrote a Python translate code, and it actually attacked just that column. Once it was done, I attached the list of this particular thing into the already existing Excel file that we had. And right now, I'm doing a whole lot of step-by-step cleaning. So I'll be showing you some code before we get to our projects proper tonight. So I'll be sharing my screen. Let me try and see. Let me see what I have here. Let me look at it again. Let me see first. Okay, so it's still loading and I'm getting there. What project I'm trying to get it out. Okay, okay. All right, so I think let me check it out here. Okay, I've seen it. Okay. I need to load the Jupyter notebook first. I had to switch it up to running it randomly, locally, instead of using the Collab at some point. So let me just load it and I'll share the screen shortly. The document is working. Okay. All right. So I'll be sharing my screen as well. So please just bear with me at some point. I would like to share the tasks and what I'm doing real life here. So okay. Um okay, I'll try to okay. All right. So let me get it. Let me share my screen now. Okay, I'll be sharing my screen. I'm just trying to show you a real life project that a client is actually working with us to try to help him out in the process of. So I'll be sharing my screen shortly. And where is that? Okay. Okay, guys, and look at what we have done so far. I think this eBay, if you can see this particular, this is Jupyter Notebook. It's more of like a Collab as well. Google Collab, it does almost the same thing, just that this one is run locally. So if you look at what we have done so far, I would like to look at the steps. The very first step was what I did was this particular eBay in progress.x. This is an Excel file. I've already done the Google translation, which I showed you guys. And once I did that, I had to like get the column that was translated and fixed it up inside the already existing Excel file. And now I'm working on cleaning more of the data itself. So you can see I imported pandas as PD. This is a framework on its own that is used for data frame and try to work with data itself, try to manipulate data, wrangling data, and so on. Don't worry, you get to understand as you get into the data science proper. So we have NumPy is also a package as well, which is being used for numerical calculations and certain uh, analysis as well. So if you look at, I read this pd dot read underscores Excel. This is me reading the Excel file, and you can see the step. The very first step. Okay, let me look at. The very first step was after translating the product name to English. The next one was to replace anywhere you see colon, you are going to replace it with a what? With a greater than sign in categories. So what I did was, let me go back to the code, and you can see I looked at the data frame, which I've already, that's the Excel file. I looked at it and I said, okay, the data frame category, this is the column category. And what am I doing with that category? I'm going to replace it with what? With the colon, with what? The greater than sign. After that, the next thing I did was to check the head of that particular column. How, like, head means the first 5 rows, and this is what happened. We got, that means it actually worked. Before this, where you have the greater than sign, but was the colon. So you look at all these things. The next step was replace all category postcards with vintage postcard production. So that's what I did here. I did. You can see here. This is what I did. The replace again, and the next as goes on and goes on. And there are a lot of things. There were a lot of steps. So far we have done. I think I've done up to where we have the step 5. So we still have more to come, though the clients will still add other things to it. But so far, this is what we have done. So this is more of like a practical um, data and science kind of like project that we're working on. I'm trying to, like, since you guys have matured enough, we could actually start showing you certain projects that were actually happening in the real world. So nevertheless, so let me go straight back to the projects we have for tonight. And tonight's one is going to be let me go to Collab. It's going to be the Word project. I've started working on something, but I'm going to delete it at some point. If you can see here, it's already been deleted, so I can decide to create a new, or I can decide to delete all this as well. So I can decide to uh, delete these, delete these as well, and also delete this. So what we are going to do tonight is simply going to be a Word project, and the text file that we're going to import the text file. Please pay attention. We're going to import the text file into the Collab. I don't know, we need Collab for this stage. You can actually use Jupyter Notebook if you know your way about it. But now, right now, we're going to use Collab. So I'm going to import the text file. First of all, I'm going to bring inside the Collab. I'm going to use where I downloaded it, I import it here, and I'm going to start working on it. And you're going to see a real world kind of a example of it. So let's go there. First thing, I've launched my Collab, I've connected it, and this is where me starting. I've named it as Word Project. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to search. You can see here, before we started, it was just like this, but there was a folder here, a file kind of option. I clicked on it. Immediately I clicked on it, there is a place to upload. So this is upload to session storage. So this is a particular session. I'm going to click here, and it's going to take me to, I'm going to navigate where I downloaded the word.txt. So you can see where it is. It's in my document, it's in Delcam, and it's in Word. So I can click on it and I open it, and it will tell me reminder uploaded files will get deleted when the runtime is recycled. So I press OK, and you can see right here that it is available here. Words.txt is one of the files that have been uploaded. So what is the next thing we're going to do? There is a package in Python that actually allows you to open certain files, and which you are going to look at it very well. So before we start, let's see what the project is all about. This is the second project apart from the first one we did was on Turtle. So in this particular one, in this project, we will search for words based on predefined criteria. For instance, if a word does not include any vowels, or the letters of which words are in alphabetical order, or sometimes if the word has more length, a particular length, maybe a particular length of words in a particular row or a particular line is more than 10, we want it to print it out. Or if there are certain things, we are going to be looking at a whole lot of scenarios here. Hands on, you're going to see practically. and the words are from the lorem ipsum. It's more of like a dummy text kind of printing industry that have been using this kind of words over the years. I sent a link to you guys to read about it, and let's get set. And so what we're not really waste much time tonight looking at since this is more of a practical kind of case. So we're going to look at we're going to use the open function. This particular open function, what it does is to the file that you are going to bring out, it needs to be open, it needs to be used by this collab. So very first thing we're going to do is to do what? We're going to open it and see what is inside this words.txt. So the very first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to define a variable. I'm going to name it as file, and I'm going to bring out the open function here, the open, and it's going to be inside a parenthesis. And please, guys, pay attention. It's going to be inside a string as well. And once I get that, I'm going to click on this words.txt. You can see it's highlighted, and there are three options. There is a three button here. Immediately I click on this, it's going to show me download, rename file, delete file, copy path, and refresh. What I'm going to do is to copy the path. Once I copy this part, I come here and I click here, and it starts blinking. The cursor gets active, and I do Control V. So by the time I do Control V, it means this is the path of this particular word.txt. Once I do that, I do a Shift Enter, or I tend to click on the play button. You can see it has loaded. It is ticked here. It means there is no error. Now, let's read the line of code. Let's read a particular line, and there's a particular function for that in Python, which is the read line. So by the time we do that, I can say I'm going to call out the file name, which is file.read line. By the time you read line, what are you reading? You're going to see out yourself. So let's see it out, and let's see what you have. So you can see the very first thing is lorem \n. This particular means that this is the very first what they call it, element in that particular list that we have. And I can decide to go to the main file itself. Let me see where I downloaded it. Let me go to where it is. So I did it. It's in downloads. It's in Delcam, and it's in Word.a. So let me try to load it and see what it is. So you can see, guys, you can see here, it's showing lorem. And I know you're asking, where is the \n coming from? Don't worry, you're going to understand it soon, why it is happening that way. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to look at, let's read the second line as well. So it's still going to be file dot, please pay attention. This is going to be your project. So it's very important that you understand each step. If you don't understand, please let me know by muting yourself and talking to me. So if you read this particular one now and want to check the output, it's going to show the second line of this particular word. You can see the first one was lorem, and the next one is called ipsum. So that's what we are trying to do. And now, before I get into the main thing proper, I would like you to understand certain things. That this /n, I don't know, some of you have gotten to know it already. What do you think /n means? /n, if you're anybody that knows about it, what do you think /n means? /n, /n. Someone must have gotten to know it. I know some persons that I've known that know what is going on right now. Okay, a new line. Okay, I can see new line. Very good. Well done. /n means what? A new line. It means that as it is going to a particular line, the /n means it should go into a new line. That means it has a line on its own. So let's try and read the third file and the third element in that particular list, and let's see how we can put it in a variable on its own. Please mute yourself. So I'm going to put it in line, and I'm going to say file dot read line. Please, I'm very sure that most of you have not encountered this stage before, so just try and pay attention. So by the time I click line equals to, I'm defining a variable here, and I just want to bring out how I can actually use that line and be using it to do a whole lot of operations. in this particular encounter. So please, wherever you are, see someone is not muted, Mr. Sunday. I'm missing you now. I think you're the one. So I'm muted you now. So what we're going to do right now is let me if I call line, definitely it's going to bring out the third option here, which is the dolo. So we can go to the TST file, you can see this word dolo. So now this is when the Wahala starts proper. This is where it begins proper. So what the first thing we want to do is how can we work on this file? We want to print the first 20 lines. We want to print the very first 20 lines. And we have done that. We have done the very first line, Lorem, the second one, Imsum, the other one, third line is dollar. So we want to start all over again. So we can decide to say file equals to, we want to open it again, sorry, open. So what are we opening? We are opening the what? The word.txt file. So we put it in a column and we still copy the file path, which is still inside our clipboard. And guys, and also, okay, don't worry. I think it's a trick, or we'll learn along the way. So by the time I decide to say, okay, now I have define this file and I say that it contains what this particular thing we have told it to open the words.txt file. So now the very first thing, we want to print the very first 20 lines. So how are we going to do? Remember that if you are printing the very 20 lines and there is a concept that is happening here, it is called indexing. Thank God we have learned indexing. It means that if for this Lauren is has an index on his own, IMSU has an index on his own, dollar, seat, Amnet, and the rest, all of them are in form of what? Index. And we still want to do what? Reference the line in which we have defined as a variable that is what? That we have done here, which is to do what? To read the what? The line. So what are we going to do now is to do what? Simply create a for loop that will have the enumerate. Enumerate brings out the index of a particular kind of data. So we are looking at the index from 1 to 20. So what are we going to do? We are definitely going to do what? Bring in the index. And for us to bring in index in for loop, we need to use the enumerate, which we have taught that already. So let's see how we can make that happen. The line function we have defined here is just to do what? To read the file itself. The function of this line is to read the file itself. And how are we going to read it? We're going to use the for loop that is going to go through each of the index and also each of the what? The reading of the line. So I click on enter. By the time I click on enter, we're going to use the for loop. So how do we do that? For what? Index. Remember when we did index and enumerate? You can use anything here, but we just decided to make it descriptive enough. For index, where is the index? Is going to be what? We are going to read it through the word, the line. By the time we read it through the line, and we're going to do in enumerate. We have done this before, please. If you do not get it, please go back to our YouTube videos and get to understand why we're using the enumerate, because it's just to bring out what they was index. So what are we enumerating? We are enumerating the what? We are enumerating the what? The file. Okay, which we have just opened. Okay. So what do we do now? The next thing is to do, okay, the condition. If this is this, we want the first 20 lines. So if index is what? If index is what? Less than or equals to 20, it means we should do what? We should print that particular line we have defined on the above cell. So what are we going to do? If index, okay, if index is what? Less than or equals to, sorry, less than or equals to what? 20. What should we do? What should we do? We should do what? We should print that particular what? Line in which we have read in file.read line in brackets open and close. So sorry, I'm not supposed to do that. I keep making mistake of shift enter. So I was supposed to click enter. So if it does that, we want to do what? Print the what? The line. Okay. So by the time we print this line, what are we going to have? We will shift and enter now. You can see now that it has brought out the very first 20. So let's see, Lawrence, we have up to what? Ferment 2. So this is a practical example of how we can actually use a particular word file to do what? To work on it. So you can see we have just done the very first 20. So now the next operation I want to look at, please pay attention, is very important. The next operation I want to do that next is how can we remove this new line? You can see that there are spaces here. There are spaces here. Lauren, after Lauren to him, so there is a line here, very big space. We want to remove this space and we want to remove the new line. This means that Lauren, once it gets to him, so it forms a new line. We want to remove the new line and want it to be closer. We want to remove this space, and that space is that new line we want to remove. So how do we make that? This is another operation I want to try out. So let's see how we can make that happen. So what do we do again? We open the file again. So we can say file equals to open, and what are we opening again? We are opening the word. We should put it in a quote, Control V. And by the time we do that, we can decide to enter, and let's see what we are going to do now. So we can do the same thing. So it's the same thing for index. I'm typing it again for people that may not really get that first one. For index, where are we getting the line from? We are getting the line from what we have done up here. This particular line is defined in a variable file.read line, which is simply to read the TXT of that particular file we have done. So for index, comma line in enumerate. So what are we doing? What are we enumerating? We are enumerating the file in which we have just opened. Okay, by the time we do this, we click enter. Now we do the same thing. We still want to print the first 20. So if index is less than and equals to 20, what should we do? We should do what? We are going to split it now. We are going to do what? Split it now. There's a function in Python that is called the split method. And this particular split, it splits the text from the space character. It could be the space, it could be a new line, it could be a carriage return, which is always represented as slash. Carriage return is always represented by /R. Nevertheless, we'll still see it practically as well, excuse me. So now we're going to say if index is less than or equals to 20, normally we're supposed to do that as we have done in the format, but this particular one using the split, and we're going to we are going to define another variable so that it will be readable enough. So we define another variable. We can just say word underscore list equals to that line that we want to split. The line in each of the line we want to split, and I said line dot split. So we create word underscore list. We're defining a new variable and said equals to what? The line that was supposed to come out. Before here, you can see here, we printed the line. This was the line that is coming out here. But in that line, we want to do something with that line. So what are we doing with that line? We want to do what? Split it, and using the split method, which takes care of what? Removing all the spaces, the new line, the carriage return character. By the time we do that, we come down and say, okay, once we do that, the next thing we want to do is to print the word. Instead of printing the line, we're now going to print the word underscore list. So by the time we do this, let's see what will happen. So I can decide to run here. You can see, guys, it comes out in form of what? A list. Each of them is defined as a list, but you can see that the space characters have been what? Removed. Okay. So this is one of the practical examples on which we have done. The first one is just to print the first 20. Now the next one is to remove the spaces in that particular line, the illustration we have done. So now let's go to a very interesting one as well. Let's create the very first exercise. This one we're just trying to introduce you to so many things. The very first exercise we want to do is we will print the words which have numbers of letters more than 10. So we're going to do what? Any of these numbers in this particular TXT file, any of them that have words, number of letters that is more than 10, we need to do what? we need to do what? Print it out. And a practical example, let me go back to what we are doing so far in our project. So you can see something like this. It means, okay, where did I save it? Okay, I think once you load Jupyter Collab, it tends to have, okay, it tends to interrupt. If you are running something, it tends to interrupt. So you can see something like this. Let me go back to our project. So it says something about, let me look at the projects in which I'm handling right now. So they said, anywhere you see talks, see something like this, talk, talks, all these letters, delete rows that contains the below words in the product name. So any of these particular words that has this particular thing here, that has all these letters, postcard, pornography, lot, set, and the rest. Any row that has that letter, all these words should automatically be deleted. So it's almost, even you look at it practically, it's almost the same thing if you want to relate it here. And let me go back to it. You want to relate it here. So we are trying to say that any word that has what letters more than 10, we should do what? Print it out. So it's more of like interacting. This is the real life scenario I've just told you that current project I'm working on. So you see, it's kind of what related. So let's see how we can make that happen. First, for sure, we are going to do what? We're going to load the file itself. File equals to what are we going to? We're opening it. So what am I doing? Open. So open. What are we opening? We're definitely going to put it here and shift sorry, Control V to paste the file path. Guys, where am I getting the file path? It is here. If you're just joining in, I came here after uploading it. I clicked here and I uploaded it to this particular Collab. And here I clicked here and I copied the file path. That's why I'm putting it here. So by the time we do what we want to print the words which have numbers of letters more than 10. So I go to enter and I said for line, which we have defined already, which is to read the line. So for line in file, for line in what? In file, what are we going to do here? This particular line is in file. This one is more of like I may not be involving the line in which we already have here, already up here, but just saying like each of the elements in the file we are opening, each of the new lines. So what we're going to do is definitely we're going to use the word list. We want to split it first and we want to work on it. So what are we going to do? So word underscore list. Please, if at any point you don't understand me, always unmute yourself. I may not be seeing your hands off. So line dot split. Remember the split is just to do what? To remove the spaces, the characters, and the rest. So now the next thing I'm going to do is when what is in the first element in the list. We are going to start from the very first element. So if the very first element, remember how we locate a very first element in a particular kind of list or a particular kind of a variable. So how do? We do it with a very word, a square bracket. So word, we're going to start from the very first one, the very first word, which is, we're going to say word, we're going to define a variable, say word equals to what? Word underscore list. Underscore list, and we're referencing the word, the very first word, member of that particular list. And we now said check number of letters. The next thing we're going to do is to do what? To check the number of what? Letters. To check the number of letters. And how do we do that? So we now say if len, the len function, remember when we said is to actually know the number of characters excuse me, in a particular kind of what, maybe variable and particular kind of data type of which we have defined already. So if len in word is what? Is greater than, definitely shift greater than, what are we going to do? Is greater than what? 10. What are we going to do? We want to do what? Print word. We want to do what? Print word. Word. By the time we print word here, let's see what we have if we run this. So you can see what happens here. So this, in this particular list txt file, these are the only words that comes that the length is greater than 10. So we have tetua, pelen. All these are words that are greater than 10. So that is a practical example of what we are going to be doing in the nearest future. And I'm very happy that we have got to this stage. And at this, if you have any questions, please, I'm going to the group right now. Okay, Dr. Payemi, yes, I'm here with you. Your hand is
Okay, thank you very much for the class. I
uh,
have only one question.
okay.
Please let me see your screen.
Okay, sir.
Yes, this line 4, word equals to word underscore list. That
Okay.
zero, what is the function of that zero? What is it doing there? Putting that zero, will it not just like reference only the first word if you put zero?
Remember that this is a loop.
Okay,
So
okay, okay, okay,
it
okay.
goes. So we are trying to tell it where we want it to start. Word
Yes,
is the first. Yes, word is the first element in the list.
yes,
So yes,
yes.
exactly.
After doing the first one, it will go through the first
Yes,
20.
yes, exactly.
I got it now. I got it. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Sunday.
Okay, like part of my question has already been answered. So I was just thinking, like, what is that one doing there? Like,
Okay,
won't the code work if we don't reference that? Like, will the code not work? That was like my question. So,
okay.
anyway, that is one. Then the other one, the line, will it continue to, like, when you started, immediately you put what's it called, 5 dots, read line. It was just showing it one after the other. So I was just
Okay.
like, that line, if I continue to paste it, will it be bringing the elements one after the other, and like it's going to be coming out first, second, third,
Yes,
like
it will
from
be
the
coming out.
beginning?
Yes, it will be coming out like that, first, second, third, like that. And if you keep on doing like that, it will come out like that.
Okay, if
Remember
I
what we
continue
did
to
here?
paste
Yes, exactly. It will come out like that until you. But you have to do what? Immediately, you just bring this file dot open again. It starts all over again. It's just like as assume that you're reading a book. Like it's just like you're reading a book right now. So you just open the very first line. You have opened it and you want to read the very first line. So immediately you do that, you read it again. You read it again. You continue, but immediately you say you want to open it again. That means you're starting all over again. So that's what it
it.
means.
Okay,
Hmm. So
okay.
in this
Thank
particular
you.
one, we're just trying to reference. We just want to tell us, want to tell us where is it starting? Where do we want it to do what? The start, and we want it to start from the very first element. We just want to. Sometimes Python code could actually uh, may not really know where you're taking it to. So it's just for us to like try to reference it right from the very beginning. Okay, this is where I want you to start. Okay, and that is how we are getting it done. Okay,
Okay,
so
thank you.
this okay. It's just trying to tell you that this word is equals to word list, and I'm just trying to tell you that each of these particular index, which of them has the length, like each of the word list is trying to like in each of the line here. What I'm trying to say, each of the line that we are splitting, which of them, like the index itself. Okay, let me explain the word. The inside this line, the index itself, each of this particular word that we're doing, is it up to what? Is it greater than what 10? If it is, as it's going from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I misunderstood. I think this time I'm trying to like explain it better. So each of this particular index of a particular line of code, a particular line of word, is trying to like tell you that if it is what, if it gets to what the length is greater than 10, please print that particular word. But if it's not, leave it. I don't know if you understand it now. I think I try to, I'm getting it. I tried to, maybe I confused you guys at some point. Okay. Mr. Sonda, have I been able to answer your question?
Yes, I'm still trying to understand it really. Yes.
Okay, I'll get, maybe if you don't get, I'll add more explanation to it. Okay. So that 0 is just to try to tell you that you are starting from the very first word and we are looking at the index itself. We are looking at which the length itself from that particular word. word that we want to start from, which is the very first one we want to use. Mr. Fonso, your hand is raised.
Please, can I see your codes, please?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, please go up. Yes, this please. Look at line 2.
Okay, sir.
For index, comma, line in enumerate. I'm
Yes,
looking
sir.
at this comma. What's the purpose of the comma? Because if you go down your code now, go down.
Okay, go down.
Yes. Oh, okay. Look at the line 2. For line, there is no comma in this one. So I want to know what's the difference.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. I'm going to explain now. Okay. Why did we use the comma here? Because we are referencing an enumerate. We want to enumerate. We are not looking at a specific kind of condition when it comes to, let's say, the length of a particular word. But this particular one, we are looking at the words that are contained in that list. And how can we bring out the words that are contained in that list? By only using what the enumerate function, which only works with indexing. So indexing works to do what? Bring out the words out from what? A particular kind of index. How do we get the index if index is less than or equals to 20? Is because we are using the enumerate that brings out the word enumerate. Enumerate is to bring out the index of a particular set of words. Which kind of file are we enumerating? It is in this file that we have opened, which is the content/word.txt. So the reason for enumerate the comma here is to make sure that this index is representing the index of each of the words in this particular txt file. And the line here is trying to tell that each of these particular words elements, I want you to do what? Read them, which we have defined in what? Line is equals to file.read line. I don't know if you get it now.
Yes, I get it. Thank you, sir.
All right. So any other questions? Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay. All right. Okay. So at this particular point, I might like to pause here. It might seem complex at some point, but I would like to pause here and maybe give you something to try out in the next class. I would like to see what what you have done. So what I want you to do maybe just to you can define a new function. This time, remember we have done function. Define a new function. Try to, in this particular one, we are going to look at check for vowels. This function will search for the words which have no vowel sound in it. So if there are no vowels in that particular list of words that we are in this TST file, I want you to print just those particular words that do not have vowels. So that is more of like go and research on it by yourself. Check it out. Let's see what you can come up with. Choose the same thing we have done for length. We said that length is equals to the one that is greater than 10. Also do the one that has the strings a a e o, that's a e i o u. So these are the things you don't want to print words that have that particular word vowel sound. So that's more of like a go home just to check the internet, check Google, check how you can come up with anyhow you want to do it. Let's see how you can make it happen. So at this particular point, I'd like to say, okay, let's stop here for tonight because if I get more, it might get complex at some point. So let me take it one step at a time. And please, at this project stage, you need to submit your project. This is a very important one. And before we go, I would like us to find a way. I will show you how to open your GitHub account. So let me show you my GitHub account. So you look at my own here. Let me look at my own here. So you can see this is my GitHub account. Though I was not active at some point. So this is my account. Let me go straight. So this is my account. These are my recent repositories, and these are the things I've done. This was okay. Let me. So you can see here, this is the one I'm actually, if you can check my YouTube and my LinkedIn, I'm trying to explain certain data science and fundamental kind of skills for someone that is actually new into data science. So look at a particular rate. And so far it's a 30 days challenge, and I'm on the right now I'm on day 13. and it's actually day 13, and you can see what I've done so far. These are the things I've posted. You can see the different. Let me go to day one. Let me go to my day one. This was 13 days ago. So introduction to NumPy. This was the code I did. I had to send it, upload it to my GitHub. So if anybody's going through my profile and wants to know who is Ekemino2, you can definitely come here. Sorry. You can definitely come here and see what I've done. You can see my pin project. There's web scraping of Wikipedia page. There's chronic kidney disease prediction. There's hotel bookings, cancellation. There's flights prediction. There's data visualization. These are basic Python projects then that I did. That was year. I think it has been a very long time. So these are my works. So I can click repositories here. You can see what I've done so far. So these are the things that will help you if someone is just going through your account. It's just like this is more of like a social media for programmers. So I would like you guys to open a GitHub account. Open a GitHub account because from this particular project that you're going to do, you'll be uploading it straight to your GitHub account. For example, if I want to upload something now. Maybe I finished coding and I want to upload. I can just go to add file. Before it was very difficult to understand the process of GitHub, but now you can add file through via just upload. You can just upload files. You can see choose files. So if I decide to choose file, I can decide to go to anyone right now. You can see what this is a project two code that I've written. This particular project I'm explaining to you. I can decide to click here and upload it. By the time I upload it, it's going to show here. Once I press commit changes, it's going to show as sort of those things. But I don't want to upload it now. There's a particular folder I want to do that later on in the future. So please create a GitHub account. It's very important that you create a GitHub account. You can just search GitHub. You can just search GitHub on Google, GitHub, and put in your profile, your picture, and just GitHub. You can see where you have sign up. So sign up. Everybody in the next class, you should be able to create a GitHub account. You can have my own standard here. This is how my own looks like. How is it like? So look at how my own app. You can upload your picture here, put your things that I may not really have much followers, but this was what landed me my very first job, in which that brought me to this Abuja at some point. When the person looked at my profile, he saw I did chronic kidney diseases. He saw I did hotel booking. He saw I did flight prediction, how it's going, if the plane is going to crash or someone is going to book it or not. It looked at my basic Python project that I did then. I had the basketball roster program, binary executive. I did all this. He looked at it. I was like, guy, I need you on my team. He asked me certain questions. And that was how I did data visualization using Power BI then. So guys, always try to make sure that your work is online. Any way you want to post it, let people see that you actually know what you are doing. It's very, very important. I may not have been active on GitHub, but this was what actually helped me out. So ever since I started, if I'm supposed to be very active on GitHub, I know a lot of projects I could have added to this one, but I don't really have time. I remember when my system had crashed, a lot of things I'd done, I was regretting why I did not post it online because it was really, really wonderful project. And today is our anniversary at work, and so far we have had 198 contracts, and we have been able to complete 191 of them with 7 cancellation, and we have had a total of 96.46% success rate because the team we are trying as much as possible to solve problems, and we are still growing and we are still making wonderful projects. So just try your best. Don't just code and keep it somewhere. Make the world see what you're doing. You may never can tell who can call you. Please, I need you to work on a project. As I am now, I'm still looking for opportunities when it comes to, yeah, as a Nigerian living in the UK, it's very, very possible with the way I'm going and the way I'm learning new things. And I'm also trying to put you along as well. So try as much as you can to get into tech. Study daily. There's no single day I do not code. There is no single day I do not code. Just try. Okay, Mr. Payemi, your hand is up.
Yes, I wanted to ask you to kindly post the classwork questions
Okay,
and see it.
okay. Yeah, I will do that. I will do that. All right,
All
Mr.
right, thank you.
All right, Mr. Fuso, your hand is still up.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Okay, all right, guys. Any other questions right now? Any other questions? Any other question? Any observations as well? Okay. All right. So we can actually stop here and let me stop recording.